I always imagined my daughter's wedding day would be a celebration of love, family, and the promise of a beautiful future. I never imagined it would become the stage for a revelation, one that would shake the room like a thunderclap and free my daughter from a lifetime of misery before she'd even said, "I do." But life has a strange way of testing us, and sometimes the truth must be delivered at exactly the right moment. My daughter Emily had been dating Jacob for 2 years. He was handsome, successful, and charming, at least that's what he showed the world. To Emily, he was attentive, ambitious, and devoted. To me, he was polite, distant, and a bit slippery. You know how some people smile with their mouths but not their eyes? That was Jacob. Still, Emily loved him deeply, and I loved my daughter more than life itself. I wasn't going to stand in her way unless I had a damn good reason. Unfortunately, I found one. It started 6 months before the wedding. Jacob didn't know I was behind him in the hallway at their engagement party when he whispered to his best man, "Emily's mom is so low class. The way she talks, the way she dresses, God, I hope none of that rubs off on our kids." I froze. Low class me. I worked 3 jobs when Emily was little. I put myself through night school. I built a small bookkeeping business from scratch. I never took a vacation because every dollar went to her: school supplies, field trips, braces, anything she needed. I was never ashamed of where I came from. I was proud. What made it worse was that his tone wasn't annoyed or joking. It was dripping with disgust. But I said nothing then. Emily looked so happy that night. I decided to swallow the insult and watch. That's what mothers do: observe quietly and protect fiercely. But the more I watched, the more I noticed cracks, small jabs disguised as jokes, little comments about how Emily could improve herself, complaints when she spent time with her friends, cold silences over trivial things. She brushed it off. "Stress from work," she said, "wedding planning pressure. He doesn't mean it." Then 3 months before the wedding, I learned the truth about Jacob. And it wasn't pretty. It happened accidentally. A client of mine, one of Jacob's former coworkers, came in for tax help. During casual conversation, his face flickered with recognition when I mentioned my daughter's fiancé. "Oh," he said carefully, "you must know what happened at his last firm." I didn't, but I learned fast. Jacob had been caught in a scheme involving falsified expense reports. Nothing criminally charged, but enough to get him quietly pushed out. He manipulated numbers, lied to supervisors, and threw 2 junior employees under the bus to save himself. "And the worst part," the man said, shaking his head, "is he let everyone else take the fall, walked away clean, never took responsibility." The words slammed into my chest like a blow. A liar, a manipulator, a man who burned others to protect himself. I thanked the man and sent him on his way, my heart pounding. Maybe it was gossip, maybe it was exaggerated, but it aligned far too perfectly with the condescending, controlling behavior I'd been seeing. Still, I needed proof, not rumors. And thanks to some contacts from my bookkeeping work and a whole lot of digging, I found it: emails, internal memos, everything. A tidy package of Jacob's darkest secret. I didn't show Emily right away. I knew her. If I presented it calmly at home, she'd defend him. Love blinds the rational mind. She'd say people change, he deserves forgiveness, that it wasn't his fault. No. If the truth was going to be heard, it needed to be undeniable and public. The wedding day arrived bright and warm. Guests filled the garden venue with smiles and pastel clothing. Emily looked radiant, glowing with a happiness so pure it nearly broke me. Jacob looked smug. As I took my seat in the front row, he leaned toward me and whispered with a smirk, "Try not to embarrass yourself today." Low class. The words echoed again. But I didn't react. I simply folded my hands and waited. The ceremony began. Soft music played. The officiant welcomed everyone. Then came the moment for family words, blessings, and well wishes. I had been asked to speak briefly as the mother of the bride. I stepped forward. My hands trembled, but my voice did not. "Thank you all for being here," I began. "Weddings are a time for truth, honest truth, the kind that lays the foundation for a healthy marriage." I saw Jacob stiffen. "Good. I want my daughter," I continued, "to marry a man who honors her, respects her, and reflects the values she was raised with." Jacob swallowed hard. "And because of that, I believe the truth must be spoken before vows are exchanged." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Jacob hissed, "Sit down." "I didn't." "Jacob once said that I was low class," I said clearly. Heads turned sharply toward him. "He said he hoped it wouldn't rub off on his future children." Gasps filled the air. Jacob's face flushed red. "But calling me names isn't the real issue," I continued. "The real issue is character. So before my daughter commits her life to someone, she needs to know who he truly is." I took a deep breath and lifted the envelope. "This," I said, "is a record of Jacob's involvement in falsifying financial reports at his previous job. Documents that show he manipulated numbers and let others take the blame." Jacob exploded. "That's not true, that's—" But the best man stumbled forward, pale. "I told you to get rid of that stuff, man," he whispered loudly, horrified. The crowd erupted with shocked whispers. Emily turned to Jacob, her face drained of color. "Is this true?" He stammered, denied, blamed others, then tried to blame me. But it was too late. The truth stood naked before everyone. My daughter removed her engagement ring and placed it gently in his shaking hand. "This wedding," she said softly, "is over." Later, as the guests filed out and the caterers packed up untouched food, Emily leaned her head on my shoulder. "Mom," she whispered, "thank you." I wrapped my arm around her, my heart aching with both sorrow and relief. "I'm not low class," I said with a small smile, "but I will always stoop as low as necessary to protect my daughter." And that, I realized, was the truest vow spoken that day.